Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Dream DPC podcast, where we talk about business tactics and real world situations to help you start up your direct primary care practice. And today I wanted to talk about where or how you can generate income on the side while you're starting up your own practice. And these are a list of 10 jobs that we can go over, and these have all been used by other physicians and as well as myself to generate income on the side. Now, you can go to look for these jobs. You can go to Indeed.com. It's normally where I would go to look for jobs. And if you haven't been in the market looking for jobs, you may not know where to go. So Indeed.com, Indeed.com is where you can check it out. I have no affiliation with them. I don't get paid by them, nothing like that. So one of the first jobs we can cover is urgent care. So urgent care can provide you a large amount of money for a moderate to high amount of work, right? So you may go to an urgent care and say, hey, do you guys have any openings? And do you need a physician to work part-time here? And so you may work, let's say on a Monday, but then you schedule all of your DPC patients on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And these are really good spaces to put them in because then you have openings all of the other days. And if your promise is same or next day care, well, then next day will always be Tuesday after your current urgent care job. So you could work this like once a week and generate a large volume of money and have it on the side to use. And it may be a little bit difficult, but it's doable. And I've heard Paul Thomas down in Detroit talk about this, and he said it was a little bit difficult, but you can still do it and open your own clinic. The next one I want to talk about is one that I do is called disability exams for veterans. And this you'll see, it will tell you like, hey, on the Indeed posting, it will say, looking for a physician to do disability exams for veterans. And initially, the training is a little bit long for this. It's like 8 hours, but they pay you $300 for the training after you get your first paycheck. And there's a pay structure to the exam itself. So, like if the veteran has one problem versus two, you get paid less. And in general, you make about anywhere from $200 to $300 per visit. And it can be just a nice little side hustle. And plus, I mean, it's for veterans, right? Like they have awesome stories and they really like to talk and they will never experience what you're giving them. So when they show up, they'll be like, hey, I get an hour with this person. There's no rush. That's crazy. So there'll be a good referral source too for you. So disability exams for veterans, and it's kind of complicated to fill out some of these things. It's more like legal speak because that's what they're looking for. But the training gives you everything you need. I mean, the training is in depth because it is a slightly new way of doing it, but they give you ample support. There's phone numbers to call, there's tech support, there's all kinds of things. And plus, you're not generating a non-compete either when you do this. You will need your own clinic space, though, to actually do the exams. So that's important to kind of account for. But what you can do is do the training and then open up your clinic with disability exams in the beginning, and then start using that money to advertise your clinic. And plus, they can be a referral base, right? Plus, you can ask them, hey, can you leave me a review on google.com? And, that way I can grow my practice that way, which is really nice. Now, the next one I've seen other physicians do is called online telehealth, right? We've all probably heard of this. And I would encourage you to seek out good referral sources for these telehealth jobs because in the beginning, I remember I signed up for one and they were like, I was like, how do I order labs? And they were like, well, we're still working on that. And I was like, oh, okay. And that was during the initial phase of interview. So I could just stop the interview there and then leave, right? But you want a telehealth company that's well established, that understands what you're doing, and you probably don't want a specialized one. You don't want one that's like just focusing on men's health and where you're just maybe prescribing testosterone all day, because I've seen those get into a little bit of trouble, but you can always investigate it, right? You can always say, hey, what's this all about? And I've seen physicians, they work on the side and then they open their DPC clinic. There's one just north of me that uses this. So totally doable. And you can establish your own hours, right? And just be upfront with them. Say, hey, I'm creating my clinic on the side, but I really want to work for you as well while I'm doing that. That way, if there's make sure there's no non-competes, right? Always make sure there's no non-competes, that you can do something, you're on your own, because you're going to have telehealth medicine also. So just make sure that's not in there somewhere. Now, the next one can be a really nice job where you go in and you do either subacute care or you go to retirement homes. So normally these are once a week jobs. You can even do twice a week if you're doing 2 homes. But you go in and you see the patient, you do some medication management, and you get to do this all in one day. And then you still have the entire rest of the week to see your patients. So they can pay really well too. And you only have to go in once a week. So I know subacute care, there's a company called Medrina, Medrina. Medrina, I know they're just starting up their arm of hiring like family physicians, internal med, to go in and see subacute care patients. So I would definitely check them out and contact them to see if they're accepting any family physicians now. Retirement homes and things like that. There's a company called Curana, Curana, and Curana is a really nice job and company as well. So you can definitely check those 2 out. This will be like, honestly, kind of a cush job. So don't get pulled too much into it. But it's a good little side job that you can do that's available. Now, another one, which is probably a little bit harder, is locums tenens. So locums tenens, one thing you got to make sure is no non-compete. I'm sure there isn't, at least hopefully there isn't, but make sure there isn't one. And you can do locums tenens maybe 2 to 3 days a week. And you got to be firm and upfront with any recruiter that you're using and tell them, look, this is what I'm working. I only want to see this many patients, maybe 15 a day, right? Because it's going to say like 20, 25 patients, right? You're going to say, no, I want to see 15 patients a day, take it or leave it. And that's how you go, right? You tell them what you want and you tell them, I want whatever, $100 an hour or something like that. So that way you can generate a little income on the side. And again, you're at the same time scheduling your patients in the DPC clinic all on the same day or all on the same 2 days a week, right? So you can work around this. And you may have to see your DPC patient at night, like at 5:30, and say, hey, I know this is unusual, but I can see you at 5:30 tonight after my work here if it's an urgent matter. So you could work that on the side and kind of see how it goes. And you may be working in another like family practice, right? So it will also help you keep up your skills, which is another important part, because in the beginning, your skills are going to drop off whenever you're starting your new clinic, because you're not seeing a million patients with, a million different diseases and stuff like that. Now, granted, you probably were not practicing at the peak of your possibility in your previous practice because they probably did not want you to do that because they want referrals, right? So DPC offers the ability to actually go in depth in each area that you want to concentrate in. So if you want to do testosterone, you can concentrate in that and learn more on it, right? That's why we have CMEs. So the next one is in-home exams for Medicare. Now, in the beginning, I did sign up for this and I started doing it, but it was pretty brutal. So what I mean by that is the requirements of charting was insane because it's Medicare. And this is their biggest problem, right? Is that they're asking for all of this information, and you're not just a clerical jockey. Now, you can do this. Maybe you do 4 a day, twice a week, and it takes you an hour for each one, and you make $100 for each one as when you go in. So it's entirely possible. It's just extremely tedious. And what needs to happen, honestly, when I think about it, is that there needs to be AI listening in, and then it fills in the exam for you, right? Like that's the reality that needs to happen. So you can do this. Just be aware that you may experience some PTSD from doing this. Like I did. I was like in the middle, I was like, I cannot do this. I just cannot. So that's just warning. But those are advertised everywhere on Indeed.com. So the next one is part-time at the VA. And you could easily work this. The VA is a fantastic in the fact that your minimum visit is 30 minutes. Okay, it never changes. It doesn't go down to 20 or anything like that. It's always 30. That's the minimum visit. The other thing is they provide malpractice. You cannot be sued in civil court for tort claims. There's a due process law that kind of protects you when you're working for the VA, so that's really good. You don't need to apply for the state medical license. So when you work for the VA, because they're like universal, right? They're everywhere. So you can easily start up a job there, and they pay well and have benefits and stuff like that. So you can do part-time there at the VA, and then you can get good practice and keep up your skills and have good money. So just a little self-promotion here. If you go to dreamdpc.com, and you can find my webinar there on direct primary care. So I have a full 30-minute webinar with the top 3 questions that most people ask me, and that's at dreamdpc.com. And you just sign up for the webinar and you can check it out. So if you're listening, go over there, check it out. You can also check out all of my previous podcasts there, as well as who I am, all that fantastic, boring stuff about me. So, all right, back to the podcast. So the next one is working at a methadone clinic. Now, it may not be your favorite thing to do, but it is somewhat rewarding, at least I've heard, and kind of easy to start and do. In other words, there's a lot of training on it. There's plenty of literature on it, and you can always ask, right? In the previous podcast, I talked about asking questions. Super important to do. Super important. Right now, I have almost zero resistance against asking questions. Meaning, as soon as I come up with a question, I'm like, oh, I'm just going to post that. So at a methadone clinic, you can do it. You can do it live, so that's one, and you can do it in person. I have a patient who is on methadone, but they get, Suboxone, which usually goes hand in hand with methadone, but they're on Suboxone, and I found out it was an ER doctor working this part-time. I just had questions about who was prescribing it, and I wanted to talk to their Suboxone doctor. So yeah, you can do a methadone clinic on the side. And all of these you can search in Google in your area, right? You can type in methadone clinic, and in whatever location, I'm in Clinton Township, you can type that in and you can find it, and then just call them, right? Get practice down on actually just calling these people and talking to them. So that will give you good practice later on when you want to call and advertise your clinic. Now, the next one may be a little bit more difficult for people to do. This is a hospice director, which I was actually offered a job as right out of residency because I kind of took an interest in it. It's a fascinating topic, and I enjoyed taking my time with these people and talking to them and really investigating their cases and understanding that at the end of life, things become really muddled together a little bit, at least from the psychiatric point of view. So I really enjoyed doing this, but at the time I was living 2 hours away from my wife, so there's no way I could do it. But hospice director is out there. You can look at it, and basically you're a director over some NPs and nurses and counselors and stuff like that. So you can do it, and then you go and see. You can either do in-person consult, see the patient once a month or something like that, and then the rest of the team will continue to follow and manage medications as well as review certain complex cases with you. So hospice director is out there, and it generally pays less than a normal family medicine doctor, but you're still bringing an income from that position. Now, the last one I wanted to talk about is called DOT exams. Now, DOT is what is Department of Transportation. So these DOT exams are what you can do for people who drive trucks. And these are some of my favorite people too, along with the veterans, the truckers. They live a hard life because they're driving all the time, and they're in the US where we don't have good food options on the go. In fact, we have horrible food options, right? So DOT exams, you can study for the exam and then take it. And I think the class price is like $200 or something like that. And then you can take the exam, and a very easy exam to take. And you can just advertise on their website, right? So truckers are looking like, who's close to me? So they go to the main website, and you're on there right next to them, and you're like, look, I only charge, instead of $200, I charge $100, something like that, right? So they can get it done in a lot less amount of time because you're available immediately. Because when they're driving a truck, they are under time constraints, and some of them don't even sleep well. So you provide a really quick and easy way for them to get these exams done. Plus, you communicate with them, right? And that's the whole thing with DPC, is that you offer a service that is same or next day, and you offer your cell phone so they can text or call you. So once you get them in for these exams, you can then say, hey, this is what I offer. And it could be really convenient for you because you don't always have to come in to see me in the clinic like a normal, clinic does, insurance-based. And they'll go, oh, really? And that's pretty cool. And hopefully they sign up. But what they will also do is call back to their main kind of distribution center and tell their boss about you and tell everybody else about you. And so they will start sending you patients for these DOT exams. So it's another kind of income generator that's extremely easy to do and get set up. In fact, I'm just going to do it myself because I'm like, hey, if this is just another service that I can just do for my patients, right? And they don't have to go elsewhere to get it done, it can be really beneficial for them. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is what I would not do for a job. So I would not go into a specialty clinic because right now these things are popping up, like men's health only clinic. Like there's one of them called Game Day. For me, I would just not work that because there are some laws in the works, and it seems like when you look at their contracts, like solely men's health or solely women's health, when you look at the contract, it's a workaround. So the physician does not get to own any part of the practice. And this is very important because it's actually illegal for businesses to own and conduct medical care, right? So they cannot be doctors themselves or direct that care. And they get around it by doing this, by saying that, oh, this is a kind of friendly agreement where the doctor sees the patient and then the doctor pays this company and then the company pays the doctor a salary, right? The doctor's being friendly and gives them all the money, but has no say in the company itself or no ownership. So that I probably would not do just because it's a little volatile and you're just kind of giving them your license, and it opens you up to other legal action, because basically what they do is they hire all of these NPs, they're under you and they're doing procedures and you don't know what the previous history for these NPs are, right? Because they may just switch from somewhere else. Maybe they were ER and they're like, oh, I want to work that job. So they just apply for it. So it can be not a good place that you find yourself in. So those were my top 10 examples of side jobs that you can do. And I hope you found it helpful, because I seriously want you to live out your dream and build your direct primary care practice. If you'd like to learn more information, I'm over at dreamdpc.com, where I have a free 30-minute webinar. And I also use Kajabi. I'm going to put a link down below. Kajabi does everything for me. It's a hosting platform online that allows me to produce this podcast, host my website, as well as send out emails, collect payments, do online courses, and send out newsletters as well, like Peter Attia does. So that link is down below. There's a free 30-day trial instead of the normal 15. You can sign up and cancel anytime, and I only make money from it if you continue past the 30 days. So tune in for more podcasts about direct primary care and straightforward business tactics, and I hope to see y'all next time.